Hey, what's going on, everybody? I just kind of wanted to take a minute today, talk about the KastKing Stealth baitcasting reel again. Over the last couple days, I've seen some reviews and videos posted online that really just kind of have me a little bit baffled, I guess. They completely are the complete opposite of what my experiences have been with this reel. So I was just going to take a few minutes and just kind of share my experiences and just kind of give my 2 cents on the reel. I've had this reel several months. I know I've been fishing with it since early to mid-April, and I am a guy that is not easy on his equipment. It bounces around on my boat, gets slammed with rod lockers, stuff like that. And as you can see, it still looks pretty darn good overall. It's got a little boat rash and some cosmetic things here and there, but nothing at all that I would consider even close to major. So overall, it's held up pretty well on the outside, as you can see. When you first get this reel, for me, the one feature that I thought was most pronounced, and I think most people would agree, is the weight. It is extremely light. It's 5.9 ounces, and for a reel this size, that is pretty uncommon. It's probably considered a comparable to a 100 size or a 1000 size reel. It's a little bigger than some 1000 or 100 size reels, but that's probably what it'd be considered. But the reason it's so light is not because there's an excessive amount of plastic inside this reel, which some people may suggest. And we'll talk about the whole plastic thing in a minute here too. I'll get back to that. But the reason it is so light is it is constructed mostly of carbon, which is very light, which means very strong. And carbon fiber reel handle, the spool is extremely light. So things like that is going to equal a lighter reel. And I think if you ask 99 out of 100 people, light reel is a good thing. Up until a couple days ago, I have never once heard of anyone complain about a reel being too light, but I guess that's just me. Another thing I've heard is people are having problems getting this reel adjusted, having backlash issues. And I'll admit, I did have a few issues myself when I first started using this reel. But it's nothing that can't be adjusted properly and fixed permanently. Like I said, this is my frogging reel 99% of the time. I will throw jigs and plastics rarely on it, but the overwhelming majority of the time it's frogs, and I can fish it all day long, and I may make a slight adjustment once depending on wind changes and things like that, but other than that, I'm backlash free. So this reel has 3 what you could call tools, I guess, that'll help you adjust it so you don't need to worry about backlashes anymore. Spool tension knob here, a magnetic braking system, and on the inside, you'll see in a minute, is centrifugal braking system. So let's kind of pull this open here. It's got a little button on the back side. Press it and turn. Alright, so, well, first let me talk about this spool. Part of the problem, from what I understand with the backlashes, is how light the spool is. This thing is extremely light. You can see it's got that wiffled look and a lot of it's cross-drilled and things like that, but it is very, very light. From what I understand, up to 2/3 lighter than some other brands. So the weight of that spool, when you make a cast, it's going to accelerate a lot quicker than most people are probably used to, which could be contributing to backlashes. But like I said, it can all be adjusted. What I do if I'm having trouble with a reel is I'll just turn everything up. I'll start with the spool tension knob. I'll tighten it down all the way. And then I'll go to my magnetic brake system. It goes from 0 to 9. 0 basically means there's the magnets are doing nothing. Turn it up to 9, full power. What basically that dial does is it moves the magnets farther or closer away to the spool. When it's all the way up, they're closest they can get. And as you can see, this one has 7 magnets on it. A lot come with 5. This one happens to have 7. So I'll turn the tension knob all the way on, or tighten it down all the way. Turn the brakes all the way up. And then you can see those 4 orange knobs. That's a centrifugal braking system. Basically, that's when you turn them on, you push them in. It's going to put, you can see that little orange pops out there. It's basically putting friction against the spool, slowing it down. This is another way you can control your brakes. To start out, turn all 4 of them up. If you have all 4 of these on, your brake all the way up, tension knob tighten, I guarantee you're not going to backlash. And then what I do is I work backwards from there. Start loosening the tension knob, start backing out on the brakes, maybe turn a couple of these off. One thing I will suggest is when you're messing with the centrifugal brakes, either have 0 on, 2 on, or all 4 of them on. You don't want an odd number. And if you just have 2 on, you want them to be on opposite sides of each other. You don't want to have 2 next to each other, or just 1, something like that. It's the 2 across from each other, or all 4, or none. So there's 3 ways that you can adjust it. And like I said, turn them all up and just start making slight adjustments from there. Back down everything until you find exactly where you want them. I promise you, it won't take long. It took me a few minutes. And like I said, I have this reel dialed in exactly where I want it. Great cast 99% of the time now. It will not take you 40 or 45 minutes like some people might say. The other thing, when you are messing with this centrifugal brake, at no point in time is it necessary to remove the spool. The only time you're ever going to want to remove the spool is when you're cleaning or lubing it. Maybe you want to add some oil to a spool bearing, something like that. But on the water, when you're making adjustments as far as casting, there's absolutely no reason to remove the spool, and it makes no sense to do so. But if you do remove the spool, it is extremely easy to replace it. Take it out, drop it back in. That simple. Not rocket science at all. It is a heck of a lot easier to do it with no line on it like this. Any spool you take out that's full of line, it's going to be difficult to get it back in. Not extremely, but the line's going to want to get between the reel and the spool, but not a huge deal. And then you just pop the side plate back on. And as you can see, we're good to go. Got this still turned up. Still smooth. Everything back to normal. One of the other things I recently heard about, we'll get back to that plastic thing, is that this reel has an excessive amount of plastic. And there's the inside of the spool removed. Not exactly what I would call excessive, but you can see there's plastic. And I do not have a Daiwa Laguna, which this reel was recently compared to, and the Laguna was preferred. But I do have another Daiwa, and I know this is a Daiwa Arid, I believe it's called. And I want to say this is $70 to $80 range, which is more than the Stealth, which is right around $50. But as you can see, not much difference at all as far as plastic. This is the Daiwa, and the Stealth. Not too different at all. So it's definitely not plastic making this reel light. And another thing I recently heard was that there might be concerns about plastic apparently holding up or melting in summer heat, which obviously is just completely bogus and almost laughable. Unless you're fishing in a volcano, I'm pretty sure the plastic is going to hold up just fine in any reel. Like I said, this boat, or this reel, has been in my boat since April. It hasn't left. It's either in my rod locker or on my deck, and it's been out for hours on end in over 100-degree weather, and somehow miraculously it hasn't melted. Held up just fine. This reel really has been a great reel for the money, and I don't really have a whole lot of negative things to say about it. It's light, it's powerful, it's got a good drag, it's smooth as butter, and some of the stuff I've been hearing, it blows me away. So I just kind of wanted to take a minute, give my side of the story, my 2 cents, share my experience, and just kind of let people know, you know, that you can make an informed decision on your own. But I guess that's really all I got today. Sorry it was kind of a long-winded video, but hopefully it helps some people. Oh, I was going to do one more thing too. I've heard some things about it being dropped and looking just extremely horrible afterwards. I'm a little scared to do this. I don't want to, but I'm sitting in my garage right now. I'm on the boat. I'm thinking about just throwing this on the cement and seeing what happens. So I guess let's try it. Here's my boat. I'm just going to let it drop. Still looks pretty good. I'll do it again just for good measure. Here's my boat, which is 3 or 4 feet off the ground. You can see a couple little scuffs on top here. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, but oh, maybe a little in there too. It looks pretty good overall still. It seems to be working perfectly too. So there you have it. Sorry it was so long. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Have a good day.